No, it wasn't that. I was. You know what? You messed the thing up. Get just cue to him.
Hi, this is Phil Hester. My work is in your comic collection, whether you want it to be or not, and you're on splash pages.
Is the one obvious thing.
Everyone thinks because you're a zombie, you don't know good coffee. Well, they're wrong. There's only one brew that gets my seal of approval. Deadly Grounds coffee is my guilty pleasure. The aroma is so intoxicating. It brings all of my neighbors out of the woodwork. Deadly Grounds coffee. Coffee to die for and zombie approved. It's good to get a little deadly. Use the front door! Oh, they're so disgusting.
Hey, happy Tuesday, everybody. You are watching Splash Pages. My name is Leo. I'm the monkey behind the keyboard here. We have an amazing show scheduled for you as always. And with us right now, we're going to kick it over to Carrie. How's it going?
Going pretty good. Hey, Tom Dog, how you doing? And hey, Mark, I think it's Wednesday for you already, isn't it? It's nice to see you. I'm so happy you're here. We have an awesome show tonight, like Leo was saying. I'm super excited. I attempted to stalk this man over the period of 2 cons in a row, but due to circumstances beyond our control, didn't work out so well. But yeah, we have on somebody amazing. Let's go over to Drew down below me here, and he will give you a good introduction. Maybe he's awake.
Oh, I'm sorry. We're on. Sorry, my bad. Hey, everybody. It's officially Tuesday because I just said so. If you thought it was Wednesday, well, you're almost there, Chief. So thank you for joining us again. As Carrie said, and I'm sure Leo said something, welcome. We have a superb guest for us tonight. We're super pumped that we have him back. Last time was awesome, and we did a good impression. So he said, sure, I'll come back on. As he said in his wonderfully succinct info, if you have a comic collection, most likely you've seen his work. Marvel, DC, Dark Horse, Image, whatever. You've seen him on books for Invincible, Godzilla, Green Arrow, independent books like The Wretch, The Atheist, Gotham Year One, which we talked a bit about last time.
G.I. Joe?
G.I. Joe. Thank you, Leo.
Cool.
You don't hear me interrupting your intro, but thank you. But no, we have him back. We're super pumped. He hasn't got tired of us yet. Everybody, please join us, the one, the only, Mr. Phil Hester.
Woo!
Hey, everybody. Woo! Thanks for having me back. I'm not used to being on pods with production values and sponsors.
Oh yeah. Well, we have to stand out because we could just soapbox it and just do it, but we're like, no, we'll put some money in, not a lot, but
No,
some.
We have
like at least $15 more.
Leah's pretty talented.
Yeah, you also have like a show sidekick in the squirrel.
Yeah, it's one of the things that it's one of those things that I didn't expect, but I'm like, no, it's become part of the show.
Yeah, you got to roll with it.
Oh yeah, no.
And production value. Wait till you see the edited version. Like I pop you out, I put your name in the background.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Leo's MVP, the real MVP.
We're thinking at least 5 years we could afford some really quality 90s CGI.
And you'll get better. You'll have better guests by then than me.
Well, no. Whoa. Stop! Don't listen. We're only like 6 minutes in. Let's not put yourself down, okay? We haven't even talked about your work. Calm down.
Self-representation on the show. And
so
I was right. It's Wednesday.
There you go.
March from Australia.
So Carrie, correct me if I'm wrong again, because our viewers don't know this, but at this point, you've seen Phil more than I have. So kind of, right?
Well,
so
I don't think I've interacted as much, but I have seen you on the floor and been like oh hi, walking over there.
Like passed in the night. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it doesn't hurt that he lives, like we were talking earlier, in the Midwest. You calculate distance by time. So we live about 5 hours from each other. So there's anything that's in this area. Yeah.
Well, we
We're
were going
an easy day trip.
We would have met in Grand Island because that's a small show.
Yes.
But I had to cancel for a family emergency.
Oh, well, I hope everything's okay now.
Yeah, things are going great.
Good. Yeah, and it's funny because, like I said, we were talking about this beforehand. I mean, the last time we saw you, I think Gotham Year One that you did with the great Tom King was fantastic. I had just been out a couple of months, and we read it, and we just all three of us unanimously were like, "This is absolutely amazing." Like, is there season 2? And you're like, "Well, we'll see."
Yeah.
If Tom writes it, I'll draw it. Like, cool. And you've been busy since then. It's been like a year. So congrats for maintaining consistency.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's my job, so I better, it's how I feed my family.
There you go.
You're quite good at it. So
yeah, well, thank you. No, it's funny because the way fandom is, the way comics fandom is, like readers, it's so kind of balkanized. There are some people that read comics and they only read Image, and some people only read DC or only Marvel or only indie. And if you're not on that stage, they think you left. Like there's Marvel fans that think I quit after Ant-Man, because I haven't really worked at Marvel since then. So from my perspective, I've been super busy. I've been doing stuff for Jonathan Hickman's 3 Worlds, 3 Moons project also.
Wow.
Nice.
And and a couple of secret projects that we talked about a little bit before we went live.
Right.
You guys don't get to know.
Yeah. You will someday. But they're big and exciting. They're big, exciting projects. And of course, like on the stands right now, I have this new G.I. Joe book called G.I. Joe Silent Missions Beachhead, which is sort of a inspired by that first silent issue of G.I. Joe by Larry Hama and Steve Leialoha from 40 years ago.
Jesus.
Yeah,
40 years. I mean, no. It's again,
crazy.
and Larry, who's such a great guy. I mean, I've met him. I went to twice. He has such a great sense of humor.
Oh, he's the best. And he's seen it all.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he can do it all in comics. So, and like anytime you get a chance to talk to Larry, you take it because you can just start a topic and he can riff forever on that topic.
I think, and it's kind of similar to you. Like, I feel like you worked in the industry for so long that you can literally like throw out, like you could just throw a book from any point in your career and you're like, oh yeah, this is great, thank you.
Yeah.
This is, it's not like oh, here we go, and all right,
Right.
yes, thank you, it was great,
Yeah.
wonderful, da da da
No,
da. Next.
I'm still like that 12-year-old kid who feels like I was lucky to be able to buy comics. So just like being associated, just being part of the comic book industry to me still feels like a big privilege. Like, I don't think that's ever going to wear off. Even, there, every career you've got moments where you're like, oh, I got to go make the donuts. Right.
Right.
But I don't ever lose sight of, like, I'm in a pretty privileged position to do this for a living. So I try to hang on to that. And this G.I. Joe book is another example of that. When I was reading that Larry Hama original silent issue 40 years ago, when I was a teenager, the idea that I would also do that someday, like, that was like a dream, and getting to do it was really, really inspiring. And I feel really good about the work because I got to write it and I got to draw it, and it's a silent issue. So the visual storytelling really had to carry the day, which is sort of my forte. Like, I'm not Jim Lee, I'm not the flashiest drawer on earth, but I feel like my storytelling skills are pretty high. And this is a chance to sort of strut my stuff in that regard.
Oh, you did great.
That was one of the things I was going to bring up when we were talking about the Wretch, is that you are so good at telling a story with little to no dialogue or word balloons of any sort going on. It's just amazing how much you can convey with your artwork.
Thanks. I mean, for people that are not familiar with that character, and there are almost everybody is not familiar with that character. He never speaks, or it never speaks, and you never learn anything about the Wretch. The Wretch is just sort of this kind of cipher, this force that kind of drops into very weird stories and solves them in an even weirder way. And the Wretch exists purely as a storytelling experiment. So it was great training for this. And it's one of the more satisfying projects I've ever done.
Well, sorry,
I was just going to say, so G.I. Joe, I believe, is fairly new to Image. They brought it over along with Transformers, I think a little over a year ago. Now, did they give you any any instructions, like you can do this, can't do this?
Yeah. Oh, certainly. I mean, it's it's a big project, so it's a license project, so the license holders are like intimately involved. I will say they were easy to deal with. I've dealt with some license holders who were very, very like micromanaging types, and that wasn't the case with G.I. Joe. They sort of did all of that in the approval stage. So it was sort of like, once we approve this story and how you're going to tell it, you sort of have free reign to do it the way you want to do it.
Right.
But, we had to pitch like quite a few story ideas until we hit one that made sense to them. And once we did, I feel really good about like the direction we went with it in the end. So
good.
For all the, I wouldn't even call it frustration, but for all the hurdles we had to get through at the beginning, myself and Alex Antone, the editor, it was worth it in the end, because I think we got a more satisfying story out of it.
I mean, speaking about the Wretch, I mean, it was like just reading it, and like you said, I had never read it prior to this interview, and I was like, wow, this is such a I felt like it was such a love letter to like 90s comics, because I saw like having grew up reading those books in the 90s. I saw like flashes of like Batman, Spawn, really darker characters that really pushed the boundaries of it. But I just really appreciated almost like the the like what Mike Mignola does with Hellboy. Like he says a lot with just silence and lighting, kind of, and just like kind of embracing the weird, kind of like what Mike Allred does with Madman. Just you just it's like, this is who we are with the storytelling. And I also like that you had like the occasional flashes of horror. Like I think the one there's the one where the girl has the son.
Yeah.
And I was reading it and I was like, why does this remind me of it was an anthology horror movie. I think it was Night Terror.
Gallery.
Thank you. Yeah.
That's what inspired the story. I watched that Night Gallery, and it scared the crap out of me when I was a little kid. So that was living in my head too.
Yeah.
So,
like,
it's never, the Wretch is never far from any genre. Like it jumps from action to horror to science fiction to humor. Because like I said previously, it exists as a storytelling experiment. So whatever I felt like exploring as a storyteller was the genre that it would fall into. And because we stayed so flexible about, like, the Wretch's powers are never explained and never delineated, the origins never explained or delineated. Sometimes he's kind-hearted, sometimes he's capricious, all that stuff's never nailed down. So the character's so malleable, we can stick it in anything.
Right.
It was a really fun time in my life. I thought it was like kind of just like everything else in my career. Every time I thought I was doing like a little side gig that was kind of a diversion, best work I was doing.
Oh yeah.
And my that I thought was my job wasn't as satisfying as this side stuff I was doing. So this is another example of that.
Yeah, I mean, I have another question. The Wailing Woman, is that based on La Llorona?
Yeah,
Llorona?
but we were first. Like we were out like so early. I mean, the reason it reminds you of a '90s comic is because it is a '90s comic.
No, yeah.
I mean, it came out like in the mid '90s. But yeah, I'd heard about. I was pulling. My kids had just been born, so I was pulling really. I was a house dad because my wife's a teacher, and so like I'd watch the kids in the daytime, and then when they hit the sack, I'd start working. So I was listening to tons of just the fringiest AM radio you could hear at night, like the golden age of Art Bell,
right,
coast to coast. And so like any little weird like urban legend or story that came up, like immediately went into my Wretch, memory banks.
Right.
And it became fodder for the Wretch.
And I think what it is, again, that's why I kind of thought of like Hellboy, because again, like Hellboy stuff doesn't always follow like a linear timeline. You could just tell this story, and then we'll tell a story that was like when he was in the 50s, the modern day. Like it jumps around, and it just embraces the weird. Like, it's just like, no, this is just a story. Like sometimes you win, sometimes you don't. Sometimes there's not really a winner. It's just weird shit happened and you deal with it. But it was fantastic. And again, what you and your collaborators did, just, with just black and white, just really elevated it, because it definitely had that feel. And I remember thinking, like, as I'm reading it, I was like, man, can you just imagine the Wretch and Sam Keith, the Max, being like very good friends? Just Carrie, your face is just like, wow, that would have been great.
Because the Max blew up on MTV, they actually did like kick the tires on the Wretch for a little while to be an MTV animated show. Nothing ever came of it, but it's definitely in that vein.
Yeah.
It was definitely it was a time when you could take a lot more chances in comics and still be guaranteed a certain amount of sales, enough to keep a book like that like limping along as long as you wanted to do it. As long as you didn't have to make a paycheck from it.
Yeah,
So,
it was still great. And
yeah.
I think, and we were talking about this because we had on what was it, Cy Spurrier last week, and we were
Saturday.
talking. Yeah, well, again, it counts as last week, Carrie. Mm.
Right.
Mhm. But he was talking about, like, sometimes, like, that sometimes people look at kind of like you could play it safe. Like with the big
Mhm.
two, you could write a certain story, and because if you stick to certain things, it'll sell well, you'll make
Yep.
money, But then it's when you want to do something that's a little different, take a chance. It's a real gamble because sometimes it could be a great story, but the sales aren't there and you don't
Yeah.
find it. Or sometimes you get surprised and there is an audience and you get to do it. You know, and I felt like you said, like this
Yeah.
definitely felt into that. You took a chance and it worked, and you had these stories that are so unique that
Yeah.
that instead of getting lost in the shuffle of, oh, it's another Spider-Man, it's another Batman,
Yeah.
okay, whatever, it's these stories that people discover, like, oh wow, this is great, I've never read something like this, you know the Wretch doesn't get lost in the history of comics.
I would say the reason for that is it's sort of like it never sold really well. It never like made us a lot of money. But I feel like everybody who bought it was in comics. Like eventually, like everyone who bought that book turned out to be like an aspiring comics pro, like when they were kids or teenagers in college or whatever. So it's almost like, Big Star's first record. Like it was not a huge hit, but like musicians bought it like crazy. And
Right.
I feel like we had that reputation with the Wretch. Like it was inspiring to a lot of like up and coming creators, which to me is really satisfying.
Of course.
And I know Drew brought up Mike Mignola a little bit ago, and Mark here is a huge fan of Mignola. And I know that you're a fan of Mignola, but when you were writing The Wretch, you said that you purposefully quit reading his stuff
Yeah.
so that you wouldn't be too influenced by him. Are you still on a Mignola ban, or have you gotten
Oh yeah, I'm not on a
on your
Mignola
own?
diet anymore.
Okay.
But at the time, like I sort of have that vibe about a lot of things. Like if I feel like if this is hewing, if I'm in the same territory as another project, I try to like maybe not dip my foot in that well.
Mhm.
And that was just, I mean, I think I overstated it then. Like I stayed away from Mike's stuff for a while just because I didn't want to be overly influenced by it. But now that I'm a more mature creator, I have a better sense of like my own identity, so I don't have to draw those bright lines, because like a lot of people that are untrained see my work as high contrast. They see Mike's work as high contrast. They see Somni's work as high contrast. So they sort of like think, oh, you guys, you're all like each other, you're all like imitating each other. And we're not. We have the same sources. Like we're all into Alex Toth or more all into Jack Kirby. And it's just how we process it that we get similar results,
Right. Absolutely. I mean, that's what makes you guys all unique, is that you are all inspired the same way, but you took it in different direction.
I think what separates me from Mike mostly is Mike is way more into Frank Frazetta than I ever was, though I love Frank Frazetta.
Of course.
Mike's stuff, you can see those Frazetta compositions like writhing in there. And I'm definitely like, the time he was falling in love with Frank Frazetta, I was falling in love with Frank Miller, And so that's where we sort of like split off.
Yeah, it's all good.
And do you still like pineapple milkshakes?
I haven't had one for many, many years because I'm trying to stay pre-diabetic. So sugar has like left my life. But I love them. I loved them. But yeah, they were great.
Yeah.
I read all the letters thing, so it's just like,
yeah, I had a lifetime. I already had one lifetime's worth of shakes. So
you can have it. I don't do pineapple. So she told me that. I was like, well, isn't that neat? He can have them.
I mean, chocolate's number one, pineapple is number two.
There you go. Listen, whatever. You're entitled to your opinion.
Yes.
You do have one thing coming up that's going to be a pre-order. The Kevin Smith special, Archie meets Jay and Silent Bob. You have a cover G. How did this come about?
Well, because I think I will forever be associated with Kevin because of our time together on the Clerks comics and the Green Arrow comics.
Yep.
And I've done just a few covers for Archie, and so when this unlikely team up was born, they thought it would be a natural thing for me to come and contribute a cover. So it was fun to revisit that world again, even though again, like we were talking before we went live, things pass by so quickly the older you get. I feel like I just did a Kevin Smith View Askew-Universe one shot for Tales from the Quick Stop, but that was a couple years. That was a couple years ago now.
Yeah, because I was like, wait a second, because I remember that. That was the one about the origins of Mubi, right?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, sorry.
Was about how Cousin Walt died.
Right. I'm sorry. I got a mix because I've read all.
I don't know how much we want to give it.
That's fine. That's fine. But yeah, that was. Oh my God, that was hilarious. But Kevin stuff usually, especially the View Askew-Universe, he just tells a story that can just easily go off the rails.
He goes all out.
Yeah, man.
And like I draw way more phalluses, both real and symbolic, when I work on a Kevin script.
Well,
absolutely.
I want to thank you for letting me know this is up for pre-order. I'm actually working on a pre-order right now, and I'll make sure I get.
If you look, we can see his card number soon. Everybody, pay attention.
Oh God.
So we watch Leo order things live on the show.
Yep.
Thank you. I must order it now.
Indeed. And then speaking of, I just need to say, I prior to a lot of things, I was never the biggest Green Arrow fan. Just never really.
Yeah.
Again, with all due respect to the character, just never really jumped. And then I read your Quiver, you know, and I was like, wow, this is just fucking great. Like what you and Kevin did, like those first, just that arc alone, 12 issues with all the things. Like, I swear, he just gave you just a plethora of things. Like, it was just like, I think my favorite, I'm fairly certain Carrie probably would say this too, was just, I was like, you never think Oliver Queen and Etrigan would be in the same.
Yeah, that's part of that was, I'm a little bit older than Kevin. And we both were like humongous fans of Matt Wagner's Demon miniseries, and then also the Demon's appearances in Swamp Thing.
Right.
So when we started this book, Kevin's like, who do you really, really, really want to draw? And I was like, I want to draw the Demon. He's like, no problem. We'll get the Demon in this book. And like his thing was he really wanted Black Manta in the book. So like we kind of like, I think issue 3, we have Black Manta in a Green Arrow book, like for no real reason other than we really thought it would be cool, you know. And that was like the whole run was sort of that sort of fun romp, like where we just get to like sort of do what we've always wanted to do in the DCU. And we were both like very much like newcomers to the DCU. Like I'd always been like this kind of tweener as an artist. I would always been like too weird for mainstream, but also too mainstream for the sort of the Fantagraphics scene. So I was sort of like always in between, like that kind of a Dark Horse caliber guy.
Right.
And so this was like I'd done Vertigo work, but this was like my first, like, you know, DCU book. And so we were just like we were like bulls in a china shop. We just wanted to jump in and tackle everything we had not been allowed to do to date. And we had a blast. And it's very fun. And for every, like you're doing like the thing that terrifies me the most was just making me look at my own work during an interview.
Leo, stop.
No, that's okay.
Oh, no,
But,
okay. Okay, resume, Leo.
And
yeah.
Oscar likes it.
Right. But for all like the faults I see in it, I still see like all the exuberance and energy that was behind that run. And that's still intact even when I look at it today.
Well, I think
So
the thing
good.
that I really liked about it is you touched on so much heavy stuff, and then you still had the humor, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you know, you're returning a character who is dead, but you're making it count. You're touching on the relationships he had in the superhero community, much less his own life. And, you know, you're taking again, when would, outside of the Justice League, would Etrigan and Oliver Queen ever meet, or him
Right.
fighting Black Manta? Like, what? No.
Right.
I think for me, one of my favorite things, I think there was a fight that happened in the Iceberg Lounge that
Yeah.
that ended up with Oliver Queen and his longtime beau getting down in a very well.
Yeah.
You know, you didn't exactly see it, but we knew. I
Yeah.
was like, oh boy, oh boy. That his fight with Hawkman.
Yes.
Oh my god, that was so funny.
Yeah, that was. I mean, that's Kevin. I mean, that's Kevin being let loose. There's boy, and you just put up the most Kevin page of all time.
What this one?
Weird balloons.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh well, yeah.
A lot of dialogue in this comic,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's why that might be why we got the job, because we knew we could. They knew we were good enough storytellers to block the scenes so that they made sense even with these, you know, like kind of walls of text, and keep the timing of Kevin's dialogue intact.
Mm-hmm.
And, even though we weren't Jim Lee,
Right?
Andy and I were not Jim Lee, but we knew Kevin's sensibilities as far as dialogue goes. So that's, you know, kind of why we hung in there.
Well, and also there was an interesting time because Kevin was pretty much still just known as a filmmaker. I mean, he was obviously known as a comic fan. Like I always tell people that Mallrats is still my favorite Stan Lee cameo of all time.
Yeah.
And it still kind of gets me sentimental every time I watch it. But you know, it was a big gamble because again, you know, a filmmaker transitioning in the comics. I mean, yeah, big name, sure, and whatnot. So you guys, again, for two people just kind of taking a chance, you guys nailed it.
Yeah, and that's the thing about Kevin is there. I know you guys remember. Well, some of you remember, some don't. But there were a lot of like celebrity tourists in comics that kind of come through and like lend their name to a book, even though they don't actually work on it. And Kevin is definitely not a tourist. Kevin, like, you know, he is a real nerd, and like all the stuff he was doing is stuff he'd been wanting to do for years and years and years, and it shows.
Yeah. But I just need to say again, everything. The arc with Onomatopoeia is still one of my favorites. I mean, I have a special reverence because I've cosplayed as the character. And I still don't know where I put that goddamn mask. It's gonna pop up randomly one day, and I'm just gonna put it on. I'm like,
yeah. It was fun, and it's been fun to see Onomatopoeia have like a second life in bigger media. You know?
Oh yeah. But I mean, I just remember seeing it. I was like, this is so fucking YouTube made him so nonchalant. I was like, oh, thank God.
Yeah.
It's just all black with the mask and all these things. So thank you, because if it had to be another flashy costume, I would have done it.
Yeah. If you have a black duster, you're set.
Oh, I had like a black trench coat, and I was like, I'm good. Like I had I had this trench coat I had made years ago for, I think it was like a Matrix cosplay, and I was like, oh, this is perfect, long and billowy, and I had everything else, and my girl helped me make the mask, which was card because we painted it and then we painted it with glow in the dark paint. So in the dark it would light up. So it's
That's
just
cool.
extra ominous. And I was at Terrificon way back before you had, and Kevin was there, but he wasn't at the con. But I was kind of hoping he would just kind of pop in.
Right.
And I was dressed as Onomatopoeia, and I kept having this running joke with Dan Slott there. He would just see me walk around, and he was like, "Did you see him yet?" And I'm just like,
Yeah.
because I'm in the suit, I can't
anything.
talk.
Yeah.
So I'm just like,
yeah. No, it's been a good year for a good couple of years for Onomatopoeia because he came back in the current Green Arrow run, sort of. I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but it sort of came back. And then and that was a fun issue to draw. And then he's appeared in Superman and Lois.
Yeah.
Like a very far afield version, but in Superman and Lois, and then in the Batman animated show Cape Crusader.
Yep,
So.
it was awesome. I was just like, yes, thank you. But carry on.
Chud Babies wanted to let you know that from their initial exposure to this Green Arrow run to finding issues this Green Arrow series owned.
Cool,
yeah.
Thanks.
Jen nailed it, sir.
And then you had the coolest thing where you got to work on Green Arrow later on. You also worked when I believe Judd Winnick was doing it. So that's a bit,
we went
different.
from Kevin to Brad Meltzer, the famous best-selling novelist, to Judd. So we just went from like heavy hitter to heavy hitter, and we were so totally spoiled. We didn't know how spoiled we were. Like we got to like we'd been working on the character for like 5 years because we worked on it a long time before it came out. Because our editor's like, this book is not going to be late. We're not going to have this book be late.
Right.
So we worked on a long time before it was even announced. So we'd been working on it for 5 years, and we were just sort of like, it's time for it. Like somebody pointed out to us that they had started reading it in high school and had graduated.
Oh, wow.
Like they started reading it as a freshman and they had graduated. And we're like, it's time for us to like do something else. But looking back on it now, like I kind of wish I'd have stuck in there and like gone all the way to issue 50. But we got close. And but yeah, it was a really good fun day. You don't really know, like they say, you don't know you're in the good old days while you're in them.
Yeah, absolutely. But did you have any because I read all that run from issue 1 to the end.
Yeah.
Man, you guys put Holly through the fucking ringer.
Yeah.
Were there any particular moments because you had some really high moments and then there were some definite lows. Were there any moments that were, I guess, particularly special to you, maybe kind of broke your heart as you were drawing, or just you're like, wow, this is just like, I can't believe I'm drawing this?
I felt like each writer brought something really unique to each one of their runs. And I think Judd's was definitely the most, let me take that back. Brad's was sort of like a big father-son kind of thing, and very kind of like emotionally wrenching and deep. But then Judd, when Judd came aboard, Judd really like kind of broke Ollie down and built him back up and broke him back down and built him back up. And he lost a love interest in a really kind of tragic way. And as somebody who grew up reading comics, to me, that was sort of like, that's what's supposed to happen to a character. Know? All those things are like, that's part and parcel of being a superhero. It's like your life is going to be terrible sometimes. So like, I know fans get really invested in a character, and sometimes they get possessive and they don't want bad things to happen to a character. But as somebody who's just been consuming all kinds of comics since I was a kid, I expect that. Like I expect any like hero's journey to have like real down moments. So
absolutely,
I thought that was all par for the course.
Absolutely, no, totally. I will also say one of the best from the Brad Meltzer moments was, and again, everybody, I'm going to say spoiler, but this has been out for like almost now decades. So
Yeah.
read yourself.
It's been out for almost 25 years. So
Yeah, so you'll can still appreciate when you and I believe it was you and Brad made it that Hal Jordan had left Ollie a ring.
yes. Yeah.
And I was just like, wow, what a like that referencing the now both the late great Denny O'Neil and Neil Adams' iconic Green Arrow.
Sure. Yeah.
I was just like, wow, what like, but that's Brad. I mean, Brad is
like as big a nerd as Kevin was.
Mhm.
Brad's 10 times a nerd.
Right.
Kevin is like he knows like issue numbers. I've been collecting comics since I was 10. I don't know issue numbers, I just know story arcs. But Brad knows issue numbers. And all these Easter eggs he put in the book, like this is before the internet was, the internet existed, but it wasn't like quite like search engines weren't quite as like effective as they are now. So like we had to like do a lot of research to hit all those callbacks that he was doing to like past Green Arrow and Justice League history.
Mm-hmm. No, I understand. In this group, I'm kind of the Mark Grunenwald. So they asked me the questions, and I'd be like, "What was this?" I was like, "Oh yeah, it's issue." And like sometimes I feel like Leo and Carrie will pause, and I instinctively will know the answer, and I'll blurt it out. They're like, "I was getting to it, Drew. Like, I don't need your help, but thanks for spotting." I'm like, "Got you, love you."
Like, we're on the phone today, and I forgot a word as I was talking, and he just whispers it really quietly. Because I was trying to tell a story, haven't slept for like 24 hours or something, and he's just like, and I forgot Decepticons, and I was like, the Autobots and the.
How could you?
What?
Right?
I'd been typing it. I've been putting it up. I just had a brain lapse because I had all this stuff going on. And Drew riding in his car, I hear this tiny little voice, and I wasn't even sure. Like I could have been hallucinating it by this point. And I just hear Decepticons. I'm like,
well, because you paused. You're like Autobots and Decepticons. Decepticons. I had it. It just doesn't even skip a beat.
I mean, I could see, if it was like Predacons or, aerial bots or... Sorry.
Let it go, man.
I haven't slept for a long time, which is why I'm drinking whiskey. Yeah. So I was going to ask, because we just brought Etrigan up to show him there. So was Etrigan, and this is going to be one of those, like, fortunately, you're one of the comic creators who, like, actually remembers when you did stuff, what you were thinking about, at least some of the time.
Sort of, yeah.
So the bus driver on the church bus, in the Wretch, was he based kind of off of Etrigan? Because that was the vibe I got when I saw.
Yeah, I think
he's not there very long. There's just like a little.
I think they're both my my.
Well, here we go.
My default demon. Like I bent Etrigan to look because like the Bissett and Toddleben demon from Swamp Thing was sort of like the new standard, and we kind of tried to push it. We kind of tried to push it back toward the Kirby demon, but yeah, that's just sort of my standard like demon looking guy. So
it was, and also I just need to say back in the Wretch, will never look at a thing of crayons the same because I'm just gonna think, what demon is this?
Yeah.
What? Because I saw it, I was like, I'm done. I am never giving anyone a birthday card ever. Or just if it is, I'm gonna make sure it's not spelled out.
That book was so like I was so busy at the time we were working on that book. Like I probably shouldn't have been adding an extra book to my workload. But I needed this book that was just like a total release where I could do whatever I wanted. And the Wretch was definitely it. And it was like like I said, it was a great training ground for all sorts of different kinds of storytelling that I would do from thereafter, both as a writer and an artist.
And yeah, Carrie, go.
Oh, and with the with the happy birthday story, I know that there's at least one letter where they were kind of like, "Are you sure you're approaching that right?" And by the way, and you relate because you had an uncle with Down syndrome that you were very
Yeah.
close to. I had an aunt with Down syndrome that I was very close to, and the way that you drew was perfect. And the people were like, "Oh well, hey Georgia,
Hey, Jar.
you know, should you have brought it on that like his wish is that she no longer has Down syndrome?" And it
Yeah.
was like, no, the wish isn't that. The wish is that she'll live, because
Right.
that's a disease, or well, not a disease, it's a condition that causes you to be susceptible to a lot of things. And that
Yeah.
was something that they fought for really hard, because back in the day, and even still, it's just like, give up on the kid. You aren't gonna,
Oh
it's
yeah.
not gonna
Like
work.
my
So just
my gr-
when my aunt was born, they told my grandparents, like, give her to one of these homes. She won't
Yep.
make it very long anyway. And they kept her, and she went to school, and,
Yeah.
and lived until her in her 50s. And it was
Mm,
sad towards the end, because you come susceptible to a lot of stuff. But yeah, it was a
Right.
very emotional and very strong story. And I love how you did portray it. And I'm glad that you were able to
Okay.
explain
Yeah.
how it
Yeah.
was.
I mean, my uncle was the same way. Like when he was born, they told him, put him in a home. Like he's never going to be productive. And instead of like going into a shell, my grandparents became presidents of the Association of Retarded Citizens. That was as it was called at the time. It was called
Mhm.
ART. And they made sure he got vocational training and got a job. And he had a severe case. Like he could not ever have lived on his own, but
Right.
they made sure he had a job. And he actually lived into his 60s, which is pretty remarkable for somebody with Down syndrome.
Wow.
Yeah, that was my aunt. In the end, she had to go into a nursing home, but my grandparents moved off the farm and spent every day with,
Yeah,
like, she
I
stayed at home as long as she could. And then
it's a
it's a
funny
very,
dynamic. I think both my grandparents lived well into their late 80s, and I think they did that so they would be there for my uncle. Like they outlived him, and then as soon as they outlived him, they started to go.
Oh man, that's rough.
that's
Yeah,
but you just wrote it so well. And I
thank
thank you
you.
so much for that story, because it is something that, if you haven't lived that experience, you don't know what it's like. And
Yeah,
like the person who, was trying, not, they weren't
no,
being mean about it at
no,
all, but it was kind of
I
a,
got their viewpoint too, because like you can't wish somebody's Down syndrome or anyone's disability away. You can't. It's you need
Julio.
to
yeah.
Yeah.
appreciate people for what they are.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
um, but that guy was having like a real like kind of crisis moment, and I was a new father at that time, and I was thinking, oh, like I want even the smallest like possible problem your kid could have would keep you up at night. Like, oh,
Mhm.
like my kid, like there is epilepsy on my wife's side of the family, and so like my whole life we've been worried like are our kids gonna become epileptic, because on her side of the family it was severe, like leading to like brain like severe brain damage after a seizure. And so like
Mhm.
every little thing like that, when you're a new parent, just kind of like occupies every portion of your like subconscious mind. So that's what I was trying to get across with that
No, yeah.
story.
Yeah. And you did
No.
such a good job. It was pointed out, like, oh, things are not looking good,
Right.
health
Right.
wise and stuff. And so I think that was what you had the emphasis on. And it was, and then in the Wailing Woman, he has her gloves still, and he's
Yeah.
using her. I was just like, oh my
That's
God.
as close as we'll ever get to continuity in that book.
Yeah.
Like,
Little stuff
I
like
was
that.
looking, but it was just like, oh, that's so sweet. I I'm sorry. I love you.
No,
Yeah.
that's okay. I
I
mean,
want to pull
that's
up. Oh,
go ahead.
please, no, you finish. Because I
No,
just
go
keep
ahead. Go
doing
ahead.
that. Oh, I was just going to ask, while we were, because I was just thinking about it. I had that one panel, and you said that you had a story behind it, but I want you to finish talking about whatever the other stuff first before I pull that panel up. Because
No,
Okay.
you can pull the panel up. That's cool.
okay,
All
Are
right,
you
Leo.
talking to me or Drew?
Oh, I don't.
uh,
He's our technical
I
guy.
no, I
Oh,
got
really?
it. This is what I put on
Oh,
a
okay.
thing. You're gonna get it differently than normal folks, because I made this into what might have been the background. So this panel to me was just so striking. I was just like, oh my God.
Yeah,
The-
we I don't think even at the time we had described that the Wretch could walk on walls. We just thought it would be cool if he did in this scene. And this panel specifically from this story, which is about the Wretch finding out that Satan owns a cereal company.
Yeah.
That some of the toys and some of the prizes in the cereals are choking hazards. And even Satan is appalled by that and has the product pulled and reconfigured. But that panel at the time, Warner Brothers was looking for storyboarders who could handle action, because up to that point, like most people trained in storyboarding were trained for humor. And the Batman show was in production, and they needed storyboard artists. And I had never storyboarded in my life outside of a little bit in film school. And so art school. And I just sent in a bunch of issues of the Wretch. And I said, this is what my storytelling's like. You can tell me if this would work for animation.
There we go.
And they hired me based on the comic, even though they weren't actual storyboards. And then this led to not only work on the Batman show, but also the Spawn show on HBO.
Nice. That's amazing. Both legends.
You mentioned a little ways back, remembering, you don't remember issue numbers, but more in line of storylines.
Yeah.
So, question for you: what's a early storyline that really got you hooked on being a fan of comics, along with working in them? What's the storyline you read that really hooked you on a character? For instance, like for me, it's like Legends of Dark Knight Venom. That really showed me, how dark Batman can get, and just have amazing storytelling. What about you?
I go back to this all the time, but there's these sort of twin poles of my world when I was a very young reader. And this is even before I was buying comics. This is when I was like reading my uncle's comics. And they are the Ween and Wrightson Swamp Thing run.
Yes.
And the Nick Cutie, Joe Staton E-Man run, which could not be further apart, because that E-Man run is very bright, bouncy, and whimsical. And that Swamp Thing run, those 10 magical issues are very dark and macabre and brooding. But those are the two poles that are sort of pulling at me all the time, like from when I was a kid. And I had impulses to move both directions. And then, Jack Kirby's the equator of that world. He's sort of, banding it all together. But when I was about 13, Frank Miller was on Daredevil. Frank Miller had started on Daredevil. And I had this vague notion that, I want to be a cartoonist someday. And I was drawing my own comics. But then when I saw Frank's Daredevil, I was like, that's the kind of cartoonist I want to be. I know I want to be a cartoonist, but I want to be that kind of cartoonist. Right. Somebody that draws high contrast, kind of brutal, and but puts storytelling above everything, and that sort of drew. Once I found those kind of comics, it drew me into a bigger world of rediscovering EC comics and Bernie Kriegsteen and Harvey Kurtzman, and then Eisner's Spirit and all that sort of stuff. All those storytelling heavy creators sort of came to the fore of my influence. So yeah, I would say those Frank Daredevils, like the first, Death of Elektra, all that stuff. Even before Born Again, the ones that Frank wrote, Andrew, were really formative for me. The most formative comics for me.
Yeah. Did you ever get a chance to meet any of your, these creators and just kind of have that, I regrettably missed my chance to meet Bernie Wrightson. I wasn't in comics yet, but I mean, I've read enough to know that he was just the nicest guy in the world.
Sweetest
and
guy.
I would love to meet Frank Miller. I need to get a better job so I can be able to afford meeting Frank
Yeah.
Miller. But it's always been on my goals because Dark Knight Returns obviously is one of the best
Yeah.
in my mind, but I'm also a big Sin City fan. So
Sin City's my favorite of his. Like
yeah.
the first 3 Sin Cities are my absolute favorite, Frank.
Yeah. Oh God. I just remember reading them and I was like, because I've always been a big person, and I was like, hey, look, it's someone I can cosplay, and I can just be large.
Yeah.
So just Marv. I was like, yep.
No, I got to meet Frank, it was a really cool moment for me because Andy Parks and I were in San Diego, and we were really like riding high on Green Arrow.
Mm-hmm.
And if you really want to meet like your hero cartoonist, hang out like behind the hotels, or don't go to the con, like go to the con hotels and hang out in the lobby, and you'll see him. But we were hanging out behind the Marriott, and Frank was just walking alone down the dock, and my editor was like, Frank, and he called him over and he introduced us, and he showed us some stuff from 300, which we thought was really cool. And
Nice.
then he was like, yeah, I know your guys' work. You're real cartoonists. And to me, that was like, the scene in Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer where Clarice kisses Rudolph and he like finally flies. Like that's how Andy and I felt. We're like, we're totally validated now that Frank Miller thinks we're real cartoonists, because that's like the highest praise to us that you could possibly get. And but I've been lucky. I got to meet Bernie, hang out with Bernie.
Oh my God.
Very gracious guy. I was drawing Swamp Thing at the time. And then I thought that was like, I didn't dare speak to him because I was ruining his character, and, but he was super gracious and did me a nice Swamp Thing sketch. And it was,
God.
And then we wound up hanging out and playing pool that night together. It was a lot of fun. I recommend meeting all your heroes, because like, maybe 2 or 3 in my whole career have been not great, but everyone else has been fantastic,
Yeah, no, I absolutely, everybody, I will back that up. If you have the chance, go the distance, meet your creators. I've had my moments where I met Mike Mignola once, and I completely lost my mind. Because I remember asking, "Are you Mike Mignola?" He said, "Sometimes," and I'm like, "What? 1 minute."
Yeah, let me process this.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I felt the same way, and I've told Leo and Carrie the story. When I met Brian Michael Bendis, I was like, "You are one of 3 creators who brought me back to comics. Like, Ultimate Spider-Man is my jam." And he was the nicest guy, and he even loved the shirt that I was wearing at the time was an anniversary present that my girlfriend of now 10 years got me, and he was like, "That's really cool. Can I take a photo of it?" I was like, yes. So I remember texting her. I was like, "Babe, I love you so much. Because of you, I'm in Brian Michael Bendis' phone." And she was just like, "Oh, cool."
Yeah. I mean, in general, that's one of the things I love about comics is there's like very little separation between you and the people who make the comics. Like, you can talk to them, you can give them your input, and they can share their appreciation of your appreciation, which is like.
So while we're talking about me, would you say that you've already answered this question, or Jenny would like to know?
I think so. Yeah, I think. I mean,
it was kind of covered as we were. She asked it, and then you kind of already merged into the topic.
I'm such a huge like comics nerd and comic art collector and comics historian kind of guy that like you can throw out like a name, and I can tell you how that artist has influenced me. Like when you say who's influenced you, like everybody I ever saw in heavy metal, everybody everybody I ever saw at Marvel, DC. Every underground comic I ever saw, all those things, Chuck Jones cartoons, whatever. All those things have been part of like the artist I've become. And how I synthesize it and how I spit it back out is is the interesting part of me as a creator, I think.
You have some
I
Mad
think,
Magazine influence too.
I
In
think
some
that's
of your
when I was
not
talking about
dark
those.
stuff. You
When I was talking about those twin poles, it's sort of like there's this sort of intractable cartooniness to my work that cannot be pulled out of it. Like there's always going to be like cartoony, like a kind of fluid bounciness to my work. But even when I'm trying to do bright stuff, there's always going to be this brights and sort of like shadowy darkness to my work at the same time. And it's very incongruous. And I don't know how to actually put them together in a way that satisfies me. But I think it satisfies some people, enough people that I can have a career, which I'm thankful for.
and we actually had a question. Carrie, did you want to read it?
Yeah. Yeah, Mark would like to know, on that subject, what's a creator whose work you've recently been exposed to that you've been enjoying?
Oh, I am like the world's biggest James Herron fan. I love the way James Herron draws like action. I can't get enough. Yeah, there's so many great creators now that like it's really hard to like nail them down. But as like I said earlier, kind of in passing, I'm also an original art collector. So it's like a really great time to like get in on these younger artists and like get in on their work and check it out. But yeah, James is always at like the top of my list. Like if I see James is drawing something, I will buy it for sure.
Absolutely.
And Daniel Warren
Have you
Johnson,
seen-
I love Daniel. You know, he's a
Yeah.
sweet guy too. So any of these people that just like kind of have just sort of outside of the mainstream styles, that's my jam.
Well, and
I'm just on the same note. I'm currently collecting Lee Bermejo. Like any
Yeah.
cover he does, I pick it up.
oh my God, yeah.
Yeah, Drew, I'm gonna mention it.
No, it's not that. I'm just saying I'm still trying. Okay, like I have messaged the man. Nothing.
Oh,
Okay?
you want
The second we get him on the show, Leo, you'll go cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. We know.
Yeah.
You know.
It could be a Leo solo show.
No. Literally, that'll be Leo and Leo. So Lee and Leo, a comic book discussion.
Yeah.
My middle name is Lee, so I count.
There you go. I have 2 L's. That's the only way I contribute to that. But I think also, Phil, I mean, I think that's the other great thing about cons is, and to compliment my wonderful team here, that's just been the best part about being on Splash Pages. We get to go to the cons and we get to have, I think the best thing is when you have stories with your creators, like we have inside jokes with creators that we've met more than once. We have people we've had on the show. It's so great when you're at a con and great creators like yourself, they recognize us and they're like, oh, hey, and we get handshakes. Occasionally Carrie gets a hug.
Restraining orders.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The occasional. Yeah. No, 100%. But I think those are the best, is that just the stories. And I'll tell people these things like, wow, that's so cool. I'm like, I feel like Raul Julia in Street Fighter was like, it's cool for you, but for me, it was Tuesday.
Yeah, no, I think where you're going with that is like you should just tell people you can have that experience too. It's not that hard it's not that hard to do.
Yeah.
And most creators are approachable. And if they're not, okay, maybe they're having a bad day. Maybe something you don't know about, you move on.
Yeah.
Or like with me and Carrie and Planet, I didn't even see her. It happens.
My book was just like shoved in your face, and I was like, "It's fine." He's like, "Do you want to talk to him?" I'm like, "Well, we'll talk later. He's going to be on the show. I'm good."
You were
He's
too
busy.
polite. You were too polite. That was the issue.
She is.
I was overwhelmed by Planet.
Yeah.
I was to terrific con, and I totally froze. Like I walked by Cullen Bunn on a regular basis to just be like, "Hi, I'm alive. Do you need a Diet Coke or Coke Zero?" Coke? No, it was Cherry Coke Zero. But then I was like, "Okay, oh, there's Jason. I can say hi to Jason Aaron. Hi. I'm going to go sit now because I'm terrified of all of these people."
Yeah, that show's become humongous.
Yeah,
70,000 people this year.
She didn't have her emotional support, Leo and Drew. She didn't have her team. She She was soloing it, and she just, it was too much. I was like, she just was like, okay, we're gonna take baby steps back. Like fun, too much.
I did.
Come back.
I'd go hand out
We'll,
cards and then come back.
yeah,
I'm like,
yeah,
you don't need a card.
It's also
So-
different going to a con when you don't have like a home base, you know.
Yeah.
When we have
Yeah.
the booth,
Yeah.
it makes it, you know, a lot easier. You know, you're living at the con rather than just trying to navigate
Yeah.
through hordes of people.
We be
Yeah. she'll be
somehow,
fine.
You
somehow
were
at
talking
Planet,
about-
our table becomes like a home base for all sorts of friends and family and people who wander by. And like one point, Andy was like, "How are all these people behind me? Where did they come from?" Because they're there to, you know, take a load off and like have a rest.
The literally
So
the
does that mean
same
the
thing.
next time I show up, I can go hide behind
Sure.
your table?
Yeah.
And-
Just sneak in behind the curtains.
Literally, that's literally what happens at us when we're ever at Terrificon, especially since we're so close to the entrance. Like we just make ourselves such a presence, and we see creators, people we know in the industry, friends, you know, and whatnot. And then also we have candy, so you know we attracted this. Like, here, kids, sugar, go.
It goes a long way.
So it's,
So Mark-
I think, yeah, you gotta have the family aspect. You have to have just this. You're all cool, but hey, but don't get cocky.
Yeah.
You know, watch it.
The
Mark-
candy
Mark
also
had his
helps
moment with
learn
me
the.
as well.
Sorry, go for it, Carrie.
Oh, sorry, Mark, and he's one of the Mignolaverse people. He's like super Mignola. So I'm glad you got to meet him. And yes, I have those moments too where it's just like, oh, I can go see.
Yeah.
I usually I don't freeze up too bad though. I think these guys. No, I'm just like I get a little flustered, but
Yeah.
I'm usually pretty good at just being like, "Hey, how you doing? I'm Carrie. I have no idea how important you are in the actual world, only what you are in my world. So we're gonna chat." And then afterwards, people be like, "Wow, that was a good get." I'm like, "What? No, like
No,
this
that's a
person
good-
did all this shit, and you asked them about like 3 things that they did 20 years ago." And I'm like,
No, you've got the
"Those
right
are 3
attitude.
really good things."
You
You're
got the
welcome.
right attitude. Like I had that deer in the headlights moment with Kirby where I was like, I can't. Jack Kirby's 10 feet from me, but what am I going to say to him? I'm going to be like Chris Farley on Saturday Night Live, you know, the Chris Farley show.
Yeah.
Remember when you created Captain America? You know, and I didn't want to be that guy, so it's like,
Oh my God.
I'm not cool enough to talk to Jack Kirby, and then he died. You know,
I'm sorry. I'm
yeah,
just
no.
just imagining but it's because I was like, so do you remember when you drew Captain America? Was that nice?
yes.
Like, do you remember?
I didn't want to do that, and so I didn't talk to him. And then he passed away a few years after
Oh
that.
my God.
And then I sort of like, I'm never going to do that again. Like if I see somebody that means a lot to me, I'm going to go talk to them. And so the very next like superstar in my mind I saw was Will Eisner, and I was like, I'm going to go shake Will Eisner's hand.
Absolutely.
And I never let an opportunity like that pass me by again.
You're like, I was nominated for one of your awards, sir.
Yeah, and he's like, I have an award.
I think that's the I agree with you, Phil. That's the lesson, because I've had moments where I could have met really great creators, and I was like, oh, I have this other thing planned. They'll be back next year. That has happened twice in my life, and I'm still really upset about it because I missed a chance to meet Darwin Cook, and I'm still mad.
Yeah.
The party that I went to was fine. It wouldn't have paled to meeting Darwin Cook.
Right.
And then Steve Dillon.
Yeah.
Who was,
well, I mean, to be fair, they both died very young.
Yeah, I know, but it's just still like, and I learned mentally, I was like, I am never saying, oh, I'm going to meet them again. I was like, they're there, meet them.
Yeah.
Go. Yeah. Don't assume anything.
For sure.
And so I'm still kicking myself because years ago I could have had like an original George Perez sketch for $40, and I was like, And now, George, who I did get to meet and was such a delight. So he was the best. And now I'm like, damn it, $40. Come on, that would have been amazing. But but like you, I've been very gracious in getting some original art from people. Plus a very bored commission of myself from Sean Murphy. I was like, just draw me, and he drew me, and I was like, wow, I look very unenthused. But it was great. But no, it's just what I'm saying that is just Phil, just keep doing what you're doing, man. Because I've talked to a bunch of people, and I like people like me who being in the signing community, and I was like, yeah, Phil Hester. I was like, oh, Phil's great, love him. Then Green Arrow fans or a bunch of like, yeah, Phil's awesome. I met him a bunch of years, he's done a bunch of my stuff, and I was like, okay, Phil's great. Yeah, we're all on that. It's Phil, you're good.
A given.
Like, keep doing your thing, man.
Well, good. I'm glad to hear that.
Drew, Mark asked questions kind of like we do, Drew. He
okay.
Saw Mike Mignola looking exhausted as person after person only asked when Hellboy 3 is coming out, and then asked him a hyper-specific Witchfinder question. He broke into a huge grin and started showing me the inks of a comic he'd drawn that wasn't out yet.
Yeah.
That's the best when you get to see, like I got to see the first issue do a power bomb about a year before it came out from Daniel. And I was with a young kind of like I don't want to say protege, but like a guy I'm trying to mentor in the business, and he's a huge wrestling fan. And he's he's like, I can't believe we got to do that. And I'm like, stick with me, kid. This sort of stuff happens at every convention. You're going to see really cool stuff just because you're behind the curtain now in the industry. So you're seeing all this stuff. And that is probably the coolest part about being in comics is you get to see all this stuff building, and you get to see kind of things sometimes even building in fits and starts and falling apart and then reassembling again and then finally happening. And it's like, it's even cooler than being surprised by something is to see it slowly work out.
Leo and I are fighting the button, by the way.
It's so funny that you say that, because I feel like Carrie and me have a similar dynamic at a con. Like I'm like pointing out these people and she was just like, hey, I'm Carrie. I'm part of the show too. Drew knows who you are. So if he likes you, then you should be cool. Like I think that was so
mad when we don't recognize the celebrities. And I'm like, I've never watched the show. You should have seen the show. Yeah. This guy's been in this and this and this. And I'm like, I read. I don't watch things. And you scold us.
I don't scold. I'm better about it now. Yeah, in the past, yes. Now I'm just like, oh, they did this, this, and that, and you're like, oh, okay, like that's great. Do you want to talk to them and see if we can get them on the show?
No, he doesn't scold.
Like I will introduce you.
He doesn't scold, but he does make fun of me about Tom Welling.
Okay, 5 times. Okay, listen, Phil. We were near the entrance. The great Tom Welling, who Smallville, walked past not once, not twice, not thrice, but 5 times, my lord. And Leo is a huge Superman fan. Yeah. Like, someone would have saved him. And he just every time he was just like, oh, what is that? Oh, or just having a conversation. And me, Carrie, and one of our other associates in the network are just like, and I'm just
I didn't know him. Don't put me in that.
No. Carrie, by the 4th time, you knew who he was.
By the end, yeah, I knew who he was, but not because I knew who he was, because you kept being like, that guy.
You're like, here's a handsome man.
Well, and you said he was staring at our booth too.
Yeah, exactly. It was a perfect opportunity. You'd have been like, hi, you're great. Thank you so much for everything you do. Thank you so much. He would have been like, oh, cool, man. Yeah, thanks. Right on. Yeah. And he would have been
would you like a Jolly Rancher? Yeah. We don't do Jolly Ranchers. Would you like a Tootsie Roll? And I can provide for you one of 3 or 4 different beverages. We are a hydration station. We believe in keeping you safe at the con.
Mark.
Yeah.
Because,
Mark. Oh, my God. Mark Wade and his Diet Cokes. If you ever see Mark Wade at a convention,
I tabled next to him, and we were like in a competition because I'm a Diet Sunkist, and so we were
Okay.
at a con that like they're famous for catering to. They're famous for being super hospitality friendly, and so like we had runners coming like every 5 minutes. Diet Coke, Diet Sunkist, Diet Coke, Diet Sunkist.
Oh my
The
God.
sun-kissed orange.
Yes, oh yes.
Yeah, but
Okay.
the,
Well,
And
I got you covered
correction,
then.
Jeremy, we saw the side of his head too.
Yes,
yeah,
you guys
can't
got a
read.
picture of the side of his head because my mom,
Yeah.
I had the foot pass, and they said, like the day before or whatever, like if you show up at 8:30, you can start camping the line to be one of the first 100 people to get through the door at 11:30 to then get a wristband to go and see Keanu Reeves, and he's going to be there for 90 minutes and work 100 people through. He and who's the berserker? We had him on, didn't we?
Ron Garney.
Ron Garney, the booming voice, Ron Garney. And I was like, Mom, because my mother
was Matt part of that equation too.
No, well, yes, he's part of the team, but he wasn't. He wasn't there last year. He was just. It was Keanu and Ron.
It just so happened that Keanu's band was playing like that night in town, so it was like last minute throw together. Well, I'm assuming, I don't know, unless Mitch just waited until the last minute. It had been planned, but
it's just the genius of Mitch Halleck. And he's just a coordinator. Like that man. I've always said that. I was like, that man must be a chess master because he is like 7 moves ahead every time.
He earns every ounce of credit that show gets, and every penny that show makes, he earns.
Oh yeah, and we will tell him that when we have him on later this year. We will tell Phil Hester has tipped his metaphorical hat.
It is a top 3 con experience for me in my life. That show.
It is my first con experience, and now I go every year. So
yeah, like everything's downhill after that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, kind of. Well, it was like, Grand Island was.
I mean, it's right there.
Grand Island. It was a lot better than most things that take place in Grand Island.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, there are cool people here. I got some.
Grand Island has a sit down. Grand Island has a sit down Pizza Hut.
I'm sorry. What?
Okay.
I'm sorry. I'm suddenly, not that I wasn't paying attention, but now, like it's like an anime when the eyes just.
Yeah,
what?
they have a sit down Pizza Hut.
Oh boy,
I haven't seen one of those since the 90s.
I like the truck stop. I can't remember what it's called, but
where they have the drink and draw at the truck stop, right?
They have the whole thing at the truck stop. Anyway, but Kansas City was overwhelming. So obviously, I'm never going to do C2E2 New York or San Diego because that's going to. No, like epilepsy and anxiety with crowds like that and concrete floors is not a good idea.
Yeah, but if you had if you had a team with you, you could manage it.
If I had a team with me and a table to sit at, it would be different than randomly wandering around looking for somewhat safe. Like I had a con mom adopt me. Like she had a son who was cosplaying who was about my age, and she was giving him the like, okay, come over here, let's sit down. Okay, do the thing, and the parents were sitting there, and I was kind of just looking abandoned. I looked at him like, can you con mom me for a moment? I don't have my team. And she's like, okay, honey, what are you here for? And I saw her and she's like, okay, everything's going to be all right. We've got a lot of friends here. Look at all of these people here. They're all here to take care of you. Everyone here is a good person. We all care about you. We love you. You're going to make it through this. Everybody's here to have fun and enjoy themselves. And you can take it at whatever pace you want. Now come here and get an energy hug. Give me a big, big hug, and hung out. And then when I had to go and make the panel the one day, I came in and there were so many people, and I got harassed when I was coming in by people on the street, hey, just, I'm not going to get into what it was, but being like, if you don't believe it, give me money unless you think that this is the way, unless you're a jerk kind of thing. And so I was like flustered. I was trying to get to the one panel I went to, and I was having a moment. I thought I was going to have a seizure. I was starting to have a panic attack, and I have the squirrel with me, and I'm like grabbing the table, trying to get down the hallway. and there is a gal in a wheelchair and her boyfriend were sitting like across from me at the wall, and they're like, are you do you need assistance? And I was kind of like, just need, and they're like, come here. And he grabs me, pulls me over, sits me down. What do you got to do? And I'm like, I need to get here. I have like half an hour, and I need to, and they're like, okay, we're gonna breathe. And I like finally I had him out, and I was like, sorry if this is weird. And she pulls out a stuffed dragon. She's like, it's not weird at all. I have one too.
Yeah.
It's good. Yeah. And they like walked me all the way to the panel and like made sure that I got in, and we're like, if you see us around, you can grab us anytime, hang out. And so that is the one good thing. It was overwhelming, but even though I didn't have my team, I didn't do as much as I thought I was going to, because I would get those panic moments. But when I did have them, there were great people around me that like immediately took care of me, you know, which is something I love about the comic book world.
Mark mentions I'm not good with crowds. At a recent convention, I had Ben Stenbeck notice, and he offered me a seat behind his table to escape for a bit. He's a super nice guy, by the way.
Oh, indeed.
And I know we are running late, but I just wanted to just bring this up real quick.
Yeah, thank you, Leo.
You also worked on Invincible Universe.
Yes.
And Invincible is definitely having a I would say a resurgence of popularity. You know, it's with the show out. I'm starting to read the comic myself, so I definitely need to check out Universe. Cool. I've watched the series probably like 8 times already. It's absolutely lovely. So I'm definitely getting into the comics. But how did this come about, Invincible Universe? And since you're going with the demons, did you work Damian Darkblood into the series?
He was in it like very briefly, but it was, I mean, I've known Robert since, like, I'm old, right? So I've known Robert since he was a kid, like a baby creator. And like Invincible and a book I did called Firebreather started at the same time. And so we were sort of like in this kind of inaugural class of like new superhero books at Image. And so we've been sort of following each other's career, and we worked together on Ant-Man at Marvel. And I think right before I was drawing, and right before I came on to write Invincible Universe, when it was still called Guarding the Globe, I was writing, I think, Bionic Man for Dynamite. And Robert just called me. He's like, "What the hell are you doing?" And I'm like, "What do you mean? I'm writing Bionic Man. Bionic Man's cool." He's like, "He's not cooler than Invincible Universe. Like, come work for me." And so I was like, "Oh yeah." So I got to come over there and play with these characters, because my favorite Kirkman character is Britt. I love Britt. And so the chance to basically write a Britt book with other Invincible characters in it, like, really appealed to me. So it was a lot of fun. And I love writing team books. And there are not a lot of chances to do that now outside of the big two. So it was a rare chance for me to sort of like kind of like show my stuff, what I would do on a book like X-Men or Teen Titans or Avengers or something like that. And Todd Knock is such a brilliant artist.
Yes,
that,
he is.
I could not wait to work with him. And we had a blast. Every second we worked on that book was so much fun. And it sold well. And it only came to an end because Invincible was coming to an end. And I'm not going to spoil it, but some of the characters in Invincible Universe became prominent characters in Invincible's final arc. So we had to wrap up our arc and let Invincible take them back. But I will say, with the show blowing up like it has, the trades of Invincible Universe are selling like crazy, like royalties that I've never made on anything else before, which is really
I'm glad you're getting those.
And also it gets like 15-year-olds give a crap about me again all of a sudden, which is, for somebody who works in superheroes, that's kind of refreshing to see kids be into like American superheroes again. And it's really cool for, like, we're only getting a fraction of the people that dig the cartoon,
Mhm.
but just that small fraction is enough to like bump the needle in comics. And
Yeah.
it's just cool to see these kids that were previously only into like manga or anime get into straight up American superhero comics because of the show. And it's sort of like they see Invincible and Invincible Universe compendiums, and they're like, oh, there's this whole other deeper world of this character that I can dive into, and it's fun to be part of their exploration of that.
Yeah, totally.
That is awesome. And, it's just awesome to see, one medium, bringing, new readers to comics. That's
Yeah,
it's what
it's
we need
really
to do.
rare. It's sort of rare because it's sort of something you assume would happen, and it doesn't really. Like movies and TV shows don't necessarily like translate into increased comic book sales, but
Mhm.
Invincible is such a unique property, and the show is so faithful that they have kind of a natural symbiosis. So we are like getting shrapnel from the show coming back to read the books, which is really cool.
There you go. Well, Phil, thank you again for joining us. We really do appreciate you taking the time, and Carrie Lee, I don't mean to speak for all of you, but really good luck on everything you're working on. I mean,
Well,
you
thanks.
talked to us a little bit about it before, and that all sounds really exciting, and we can't wait to cover that on the news.
Yeah, I'll be happy to come back and talk to you about it another time.
Oh, sure, absolutely.
I'm going to start sending you some PMs because I have some questions that we couldn't fit in tonight.
Sure, that's
that I'm
fine.
curious about.
I got you, Carrie.
Yeah.
Okay.
But Leo, did you have anything else that you wanted to say before he signs off?
Well, what are you dorking out about lately? Is there any new shows you're watching, or you're,
Oh, God.
or
I'm-
what are you doing to
s-
decompress?
I'm so behind on every last thing.
Thank you.
I have a heart, like, I find myself like, okay, Drew, that you'll appreciate this.
I already do.
This is a big callback. I did not read Starman until it was done. Like, it was on my pull list. I pulled every
too.
issue of it and did not read it till it was done. And that's the way your life goes when, number one, you get old and you get a family and you get a job, and like comics can't be your priority anymore. But also when you work in comics, so much of your time and life is eaten up by making them. I still love to read comics, but like I don't have like that I used to like kill every Wednesday night in college reading what came out that day.
Same.
I'd go back to my dorm or go back to my apartment and read all the new books.
Mhm.
And like I cannot do that anymore. Like my to be read pile is like 6 long boxes.
Yeah.
It's huge. And so I'm like way behind. So I tend to like get things. I pull the floppies at my local, but then I still buy the trade and read the trade first because that's the first time I'm actually sitting down to read it. But there's so many great books out right now and I'll tell you how I do it. At my shop, I don't follow any character, any company, any publisher. I follow creators. So my LCS owner knows I want every new James Herron comic. I want every new Bill Quesavely comic. I want every new Tom King comic. And so I want every Nick Klein book. So like that's how I shop. And I'm slowly trying to catch up on all these people that I think are doing amazing work. I think it's like the best time to be reading mainstream comics ever.
Oh my God, yes.
The aesthetics have opened up so much. Like
Yeah.
we're in a world now where like when I was drawing Green Arrow, I was a huge outlier. Like my style was not the DC house style or anywhere near the DC house style. But now Riley Rossmo draws for DC,
Right.
Daniel Warren Johnson draws for DC.
Mhm.
And these are all like that we'd be huge outliers like 10, 20 years ago. So
Right.
it's really cool to see like the doors just getting kicked down in terms of like the styles that are welcome in comics now. And I think we have like probably the resurgence of manga to help that,
Mhm.
it's expanded everybody's aesthetic horizons a little bit. And I think we're reaping the benefits of that now.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Okay. Well, thank you again, Phil. Seriously,
Yeah.
and please let us know any like if you're doing any Kickstarters or anything. We'd be more than glad to promote. And of course,
Sure.
if we see anything on the news, we'll definitely share to get that put that word out. But seriously, good luck with everything, and thank you so much for taking the time. We really
Thanks.
appreciate
And
it.
it was great to talk to you again. And Carrie, I will see you somewhere.
We'll meet up halfway and go to the casinos or something.
You know what?
It'll be
Come
great.
to Ocon in July. There's a con in Omaha. Not
Okay,
too big.
okay.
Just the right size.
No, all right. Quick question before you go. Since you said Ocon, you're going to be there. Anything that you're doing for Free Comic Book Day? Are you signing anywhere? And what
Yes.
cons do you have going?
I'm glad you asked me.
Coming up in the future. We would like to know that before we let you go.
I'm doing Free Comic Book Day this Saturday at my local comic shop, which is Daydreams in Iowa City, Iowa.
Okay.
And I'm doing a show in called Two Rivers in St. Charles, Missouri at the end of the month. And then another one right after that in Des Moines Con. And then another one right after, but that's too far out. I can't plan that far ahead. So I don't know. I'll have to look at my calendar. But I'm doing, like, if you're in the Midwest, you're probably going to find me. And if you're not in the Midwest, I think I'll be at Rose City in Portland. And I will be in Sao Paulo in Brazil this winter. So
Nice.
Okay, so I'll bring a
Awesome.
case of Diet Sunkist.
yes,
And we'll just chill at Ocon together. It'll be
sounds
like,
good.
I'm just his random squirrel wrangler. I just hang out here,
Right.
Mhm.
keep busy while he's doing things.
I'll make
Then
sure
I go
the
talk
squirrel
to people
gets
every now and then.
I'll make sure the squirrel gets a pro badge. I don't know about you, but the squirrel will get one.
A little pro sticker.
Yeah, that's
All
okay.
right.
He's more popular than I am anyway.
Good.
That's all. No, maybe. Delia, did you go over the leading
Nope,
profile?
I was just about to. So, Phil, definitely thank you so much for your time this evening. Absolute pleasure. When you're ready to head on out, hit the Leave Studio button on the bottom, and it should prompt you to an uploads page. Probably remember that from last time. Just make sure it completes. If it doesn't, don't worry about it. We have a link we can send you afterwards.
Sure. I'll try to make sure I do it right.
It's okay.
Sounds good. I'm
All
sure
right.
you will.
Someday, very soon, I'll be too old to do that. Just FYI.
Never.
I'll be past the age limit where I'm expected to understand any level of technology.
Oh, no. You have at least another decade and a half before that counts.
We'll see.
Right.
Trust me.
All right. Well, thank you again, Phil. You have a good rest of the night.
All right. Thanks, guys.
It was
See
wonderful
ya.
to see you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
That was awesome.
All right.
All right.
I love
All
you
right,
so
so,
much.
I want to change things up a little bit while we got a bunch of people watching. So, Drew, who do we have coming next week?
Oh, thank you, Leo. Yeah, definitely switching it up. So we have, thank you again, everybody, for sticking around for Phil Hester. We appreciate that. Stay tuned. We're going to do news and Kickstarter soon. And next week, starting off our May, we have a very special guest coming. The one, the only Mr. John Suntress from Word Balloon will be dropping by. Very excited. He's going to be recommending a book that we're going to read. On top of, we're just going to shoot the shit. It's been about a year since we've seen him almost. And we're also going to talk about all the things we're really excited for this year's Terrificon, as John is a big part of it, as he does a lot of the panels there. So if you've ever seen John's show, he talks more than all three of us. So that's going to be really interesting getting a word in. So
Sweet. That's going to be a lot of fun. Okay, so do we have variants this week?
No, we're just going straight to news.
Straight to news.
Straight to the news.
Drew's News. Exciting tales, fresh comic views. In the pages, heroes fly, villains fly under the sky. From Gotham's dark to Metropolis views, we cover stories old and new. Drew's News, your daily source for comic clues. Join the fun, it's a heroic cruise in the world of Drew's comic news.
Yep. Here's the news. Fuck you.
Actually, I believe I have the first story.
You do. The Doom.
The Doom?
The Doom. It's almost as if it's a Doom for the future. Is everything okay with Carrie?
Let's see. What does she say in the private chat? Okay, she's the last in the order, so she is good.
Okay.
I'm back.
Okay.
Yeah, I was last, so.
Okay. All right. We'll just right into the news. We'll just
Yeah.
literally, Leo, the second we're done with one, just load the next one. So,
Yep, totally.
Doom.
Yep. So get ready for some serious multiverse mayhem this summer because Doctor Doom is about to face himself. Marvel just announced Doom 2099 is a one-shot dropping this July and is bringing a mysterious future version of Doctor Doom to our present day. So this isn't going to be just a friendly family reunion. The book comes from Frank Thierry, and you know him from his stellar work on Sabretooth, The Dead Don't Talk, and exciting newcomer artist Delio Diaz making his Marvel debut. So here's what's happening in Doom 2099, traveling back in time. Nobody's quite sure whose side he's on. Is he here to help his past self, or is he planning to take the other Doom out? Either way is triggered a massive response from the future with an absolutely wild team assembling to stop them. So the lineup, check this out, is Old Man Logan, Rachel Summers as Phoenix, Bishop, Cosmic Ghost Rider, the Maestro, and Deathlock. So this is an incredible roster and is coming together to prevent either Doom from gaining more power and possibly becoming the new Sorcerer Supreme. Thierry, known throughout his career as a villains guy, couldn't resist the opportunity to write not just one but two versions of Marvel's greatest villain. And as he put it, it was an offer I couldn't refuse. So the big question is, what's Doom 2099's actual mission? So according to Thierry, fans are going to be surprised by the answer. And look for Doom 2099 #1 hitting shelves July 23rd. And so cover arts here. This is the main cover by Derek Chu. And we're getting a variant by Ken Lashley. And check this out. We're going to get a foil variant by Dan Punazian.
Nice.
So make sure you hit your LCS and get this on your pull list. Doom 2099.
Very nice.
Yeah. So is it same mask, different task?
Time will tell. All right. Cue up the next one. I'm excited about this. Nemesis. Okay, so if you're a fan of Millar World and whatnot, you're gonna love this book because Mark Millar is literally continuing what he's been going on with this character, his evil version of Batman. This time, this is the newest series, Nemesis Forever. So you have Mark teaming up with Matteo Scalera, who last collaborated with him on The Ambassadors, along with colorist Giovanna Nero from the Magic Order Volume 5, Clem Robbins, who was working on Hawk, Big Bad World, for this 5-part series with covers there by Scalera, and with that and a black and white and a Jay Lee illustrated variant for issue 1, as seen right there. So Nemesis Forever. Nemesis is now, again, the world's most dangerous man. He's made himself not only that, but he's also now one of the richest. So he's no longer content with just terrorizing the forces of law and order. His new plan is wreaking havoc on his enemies, a lot of them that he's earned from last year or the year before's big Millar World crossover, big game, and seizing control of the world itself and enslaving humanity with super technology. So his plan for world domination will unfold with Nemesis Forever issue 1, which is arriving in comic shops August 27th. So should be, it's going to be really fucking good. Next up, Carrie. I know, and this is spinning out of something you're very passionate about, so go for it.
Yeah. So if you're like me and you've been reading the Hello Darkness anthologies from Boom Studios, you're probably already familiar with Garth Ennis and Becky Cloonan's ongoing saga, The War. It's been put up in pieces at the end of each of the books, and since it garnered a lot of attention, the folks over at Boom decided they were going to make a limited series make it a limited series on its own, and it's going to be hitting your shelves of your LCS on July 30th. This collection starts with the first 3 parts that were in Hello Darkness being put into an oversized issue that has 37 pages telling the somewhat abrasive and kind of uncomfortable story of a group of folks worrying about the very real possibility of nuclear war in their world and the various plans and actions that they take. There's a big fear factor in this going on because where they're set, there's a good chance that something could happen in this way, but it plays out a bit in a horror theme, but more than that, the dynamic between the group just becomes more and more broken, and the value of their friendships and relationships are put to the test already in the first issue where we've been watching them, whether it be dismissing somebody because it's easier than listening to them or worrying about them. You're like, oh, he's doing his own thing, that his choice, out of my life now, kind of thing. I don't have to deal with that guilt on top of everything else. And it shows a very realistic rearrangement of the social and romantic ties in the face of something as dreadful as this. So along with Ennis writing and Cloonan's interior art, she did the main covers you can see here. And then the next cover over, Tula Lute has gifted us with this beautiful cover. And
Nice.
it's the last one that we have available, but Trevor Hairsign should be posting up his variant cover as well quite soon. And once again, you can pick this up on July 30th. And
Nice.
it is really good what we've read so far. So I'm glad that it's being taken out of just being an anthology and being made into its own book, because I think it was kind of the taste test,
Mhm.
out there. Do people want it? Do people keep following
Totally.
it? Okay. Now we can put something else in that little area and
Mhm.
give this its own book. So
Nice.
it totally deserves it. I loved it.
It was a very different story because instead of focusing on, apocalyptic battles and whatnot, you really saw the societal collapse and the people behind it. It's not just,
Yeah.
what we've seen
It's very
before. So no, it's
personal.
great. It's very
And like
personal.
I said, it's very uncomfortable, but but in a good way. Like
Hmm.
it feels real in that
Yeah,
way. You connect more when it's
yeah. And so, and speaking of other big things, um, Leo, I believe you're going to report about a latest milestone issue from Marvel.
Milestone. Yes. So okay, this is going to be for all the lunar legionnaires. Is that a thing? I
Yeah.
don't. Yeah. Okay. So we've got some massive Moon Knight news. So this July, Moon Knight hits its incredible milestone,
Mhm.
the 50th anniversary and his 250th issue. So Marvel is celebrating with an oversized special Moon Knight Fist of Khonshu number 10. And you
Mhm.
totally don't want to miss this one. So if you've been following Jed McKay's run since 2021, you already know it's been one of the most acclaimed takes on a character ever. McKay has completely redefined Mark Spector's mission and mythology. And we actually covered the transition from, I think, from the original to Jed a long time ago.
Yeah.
Definitely redefined it and a lot better. So now he's setting up for what might be the most ambitious story yet. For this landmark issue, McKay is teaming up with the rising star artist Devil Maya Promanik to deliver, and I apologize if I got that wrong, what's being is billed as the biggest battle of Mark Spector's life. So a decisive showdown with the new supervillain Achilles Fairchild. So this isn't just explosive finale to the current storyline, it's also laying the groundwork for Moon Knight's future. McKay himself sounds pretty stoked about the journey, saying he's thrilled about how the series has allowed him to develop characters and connect with the fans in ways he never experienced before. And speaking of connections to the past, there's going to be a variant cover. We'll talk about that in a second. So if you remember his iconic 90s Moon Knight work, you'll know this is totally a big deal by Stephen Platt. And the
Mhm.
special issue drops July 16th. And with a main cover by David Parator and additional variants by Platt, E.M. Geis, and we'll go over them right now. So what you're seeing right now is the David Praetor main cover. And then this is going to be the variant by Stephen Platt.
Nice. That's very 90s.
Yeah. And again, this is going to be July 16th. So coming up fast. Make sure you add it to your pull list.
Absolutely. Nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. 250 issues. Good for him. All right. Next up is me again, bringing on the bad guys. All right. So this is a big one that's been dropped. So Marvel's greatest supervillains are gonna basically, if they're already stealing our attention, so in June with Bring On the Bad Guys. So this is a 7-part saga celebrating 50-year legacy of the Bring On the Bad Guys trade paperback. So celebrating that story in June, Emmy award-winning writer Mark Guggenheim and a smattering of other acclaimed artists are basically starting it off with bringing on the bad guys. Doom issue 1, so that's going to be Guggenheim with artist Stefano Raphael, and then there are also 3 others. So you're going to have bringing on the bad guys Green Goblin, bad guys Abomination, and bad guys Loki. So this is all from a lineup of superstar creators, spearheaded by Guggenheim himself, who will write the opening and the closing chapter, along with the backup story in each issue, shedding light on Mephisto's overarching scheme and a mysterious new villain known only as Sister Sorrow. So what we first saw there originally was Green Goblin issue 1, which is by Guggenheim, Ethan S. Parker, and Griffin Sheridan. Carrie, that's the team, as you know, from Please Don't Kill Your Darlings. With art by Matteo Delafonte, and Leo, cover by Lee Bermejo. So basically, we're going to learn in that book a new piece of Norman Osborn's villainous history, being that he is the most terrifying villain in the Marvel Universe thanks to a deal with Mephisto. But what does the Soul Forge have to do with it? In Bring On the Bad Guys, Abomination, Guggenheim's teaming up with our great Philip Kennedy Johnson, with art by Sergio De Vidilla, with another cover by Lee Bermejo, teaming up to discuss Emil Blonsky, who was never one to turn down a fight, whether it's to fell the mighty Grootslag for exchange for his freedom in Wakanda prison, or collecting a soul on behalf of Mephisto for a mysterious boon. He's always the monster for the job, and he's going to prove it once and for all. And last but not least, Bring On the Bad Guys Loki by Guggenheim and Anthony Oliveira, with an art by an ad-released artist, with a cover again by Lee Bermejo. These are all, by the way, available in July. So Groblin is on the 2nd, Abomination is on the 16th, and this is on the 30th. So Loki is the god of mischief, Mephisto the lord of lies. In a centuries-old battle of wits, Loki needs of a favor. In exchange, Mephisto commands him to retrieve a soul, one belonging to an agent of Khonshu. But no one tells Loki what to do. So these are all top-notch creators. This sounds awesome, celebrating a great book from Marvel history. So if you got money to burn in July, I would put it down on these guys.
Awesome.
And breaking out first in that, there's a Doom book as well. The first one of the.
Oh,
Bring
yes.
Bad Guys.
Apologies, Terry. Thank you.
And that's also a Lee Bermejo covered.
Yes.
Leo.
I apologize. Yeah, they for some reason didn't share that. So apologies. But yes, thank you, Carrie, for reminding me of that. Okay. But yeah.
I just have to say, I absolutely love it that you're saying Mephisto now. I'm very proud of you.
All right. Moving on to the next. Carrie, I know you're excited about this book, being the book fan that you are.
All right. So yet another small creative team is bringing their talents together to form a new line of comics undiscovered through Amazing Comics. Joe Quesada and Charles Dorfman, who wrote, directed, and produced Barbarians, as well as produced The Lost Daughter, will be using this line to transform various Shakespeare plays dropping them into new worlds with fantastical elements. You'll be keeping the original characters and the themes that Shakespeare used in his work, but expect the settings and mechanics of how the world works to be different from back in the Bard's day. The first book we're going to get, if you want to go ahead, it's the only other picture, is Disciple, and that will be their retelling of Hamlet, with Quesada and Dorfman both getting writing credits, and Quesada providing the art for inker Wade von Graubacher, colors by Richard Eisner, and lettering by Joe Carmagna. According to Quesada, upcoming undiscovered stories will span genres like sci-fi, horror, hard-boiled crime fiction, war, and fantasy. These stories may jump across genres, centuries, and who knows, even planets, but they're all grounded in the same world, ours. We've got an amazing slate of talents already on board, and it's just the tip of the iceberg. In the weeks ahead and months ahead, we'll be announcing even more creators joining the fold, and soon the projects they'll be bringing to life. Now, some of these people are already with other creator-owned companies, so it's great to see that they're kind of all being friends with each other. Some of the amazing comics, feature comics, are going to be written by some of the biggest names in entertainment, the comic book industries, including Derek Kolstad, the writer and creator of John Wick and Nobody, J. Michael Straczynski, Stephen Paul Judd, the writer of Dark Winds and Echo television shows, Christopher Priest, Garth Ennis, Ethan Sachs, and Charles Dorfman, as we mentioned already. And this just looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. If you're a fan of, like cross-genre stuff, if you want to see a story that's been told before, told in a really fascinating way, and drawn by Joe Quesada, oh my God, this is the way to go. This is going to be gorgeous. And they have some very, very smart people writing. So I don't think I'm going to be disappointed. I'm going to be looking forward to this. So
Absolutely.
Yeah, everybody go out, check it out. July 23rd. No, wait, I totally lied. That's the next one I'm doing. This one I'm not sure of the date on, but yeah, it's coming out soon. So go talk to people. Get everybody.
Thanks, Carrie. All right.
You're welcome.
Right.
I scroll down. I'm like, it's this date. Oh no, that's my next story.
It's okay. All right. So we're wrapping up the news. So Leo, tell us. This is great.
Yeah. So I mean, we talked about, Invincible having a resurgence, Predators totally having a resurgence as well. There's been a bunch of Predator books. There was some DC books as well, plus some new movies. Prey, Badlands looks totally awesome. So the Predators now are taking their invasion to a whole new level. Marvel just announced Predator Kills the Marvel Universe. It's going to be a 5-issue series launching August, and it promises to be an explosive finale to Benjamin Percy's interconnected Predator saga. So yes, the title means exactly what you think it is. It's gonna so if you've been following along, you know that this cosmic grudge match started with Predator versus Wolverine. Then it escalated to Predator versus Black Panther, and just hit new heights with Predator versus Spider-Man.
Yep.
I totally need to check that out. So which dropped in stores this week. So I got to pick that up. Now Percy is teaming up again with artist Marcelo Ferreira for what looks like the most brutal chapter yet. So this time it's not just a one-on-one showdown. We're talking about an entire Predator army invading Earth. The Avengers, X-Men, Fantastic Four, nobody's safe as these alien hunters claim our planet as their personal game preserve. And here's the kicker. They're armed with vibranium weapons and have a mysterious human ally helping them out. I wonder who's going to be. So Percy isn't pulling any punches either. When asked about the title, he made it crystal clear that title is not a misdirection. This one's going to hurt. He promises shocking deaths, unexpected twists, and the introduction of a terrifying Predator King. The first issue drops August 13th with a cover by the legendary Laniel Francis Yu. That's what you're seeing here now. And this is shaping up to be Marvel's most devastating crossover event of the summer. So definitely put it on your pull list, August 13th for Predator Kills the Marvel Universe. And hopefully we don't get a Gwen, panel in this one.
Keep that up. Keep that up for a second.
Yep.
Okay, so with the trident off to the side, like halfway through, it just occurred to me that this is like Predator Aquaman.
Oh
Like
my
he's got
god.
the green and then the gold
Yep.
scales and then the
Yep.
trident in the back. I'm just like, yes,
Well,
he is.
he
He is the
killed the
Predator.
DC universe first, and then he's coming over to Marvel. So he
Oh my
skinned
god.
Aquaman. You know,
No. No. I'm shutting this
When
down.
does he fight Deadpool? When is that
he
going to
got his
happen?
fillet
'Cause
knife. You know,
All right. You guys can wax your fan theories later. We still
oh,
got to do the
fine.
Kickstarters, so let's wrap up the news.
That's
I'm
fine.
especially excited about this. This is awesome. Dynamite announced that Disney's Gargoyles, well, the series based on the beloved '90s show, is going to cross over with the Fantastic Four this October. So this is going to be produced by the original Dynamite era Gargoyles team, Greg Weisman, artist George Kamadias, and letterer Jeff Eckelberry. So Weisman says this is a tale of clan and family. He can't wait to bring this to comics. He said it just feels right. So the synopsis is key members of the Manhattan Clan, including Goliath, Elisa Maza, Brooklyn, Katana, and Nashville, have been all invited on a tour of one of the most impressive technologically advanced buildings in their adopted home, New York, the Baxter Building. Everything will, of course, go awry when a cast of foes from both mythos are going to cross, including Cold Steel, the Gargoyle, aka Yuri Topolov, and the Deadly Annihilus. Apparently, we're going to see all kinds of things. Franklin and Valeria Richards bonding with Nash, at least until everything loses its shit. Then all families, the Fantastic Four, and the Gargoyles. So Mr. Fantastic, Invisible Woman, Thing, Human Torch, Broadway, Angela are going to team up, splitting into teams, saving the day across Manhattan, the Negative Zone, and beyond. This is awesome. Please stay tuned for this. Cannot freaking wait for this in October. I can literally hear the Gargoyles theme song as I'm talking to you about it. So, yeah,
Gargoyles in the Negative Zone would be pretty fantastic. I think that would.
Carrie, I'm really excited to see what we got here. It's going to be fucking great. So, and then with
Yeah.
Greg Weisman, who was one of the big creators working on the show back in the day, how can we do any wrong? Like, this is going to be so much fun. So, let's go.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So, Carrie, you're wrapping up the news. So, what's scaring us in the comic hall?
All right. So, Syzygy Publishing, an imprint of Image Comics, is bestowing upon us a delightful looking anthology about comic book conventions and the hidden horrors one might find at them, kind of like we were talking about before. Taking all of the typical con experiences, such as grail hunting, getting backstage, hitting the big panels, camping out overnight to be early in the lines, and all of the other con highlights, which I'm hoping personally someone covers con funk, brain, crud, and recovery. Co-writer and publisher Chris Ryle is calling it a love letter to con culture and a way to release all of the horrors that the creators have dealt with in the sometimes overwhelming world of conventions. This is called Dread the Hall H. Issue number 1 is composed of 4 stories written by Ryle and co-creator Jordan Hart, with art by Nelson Daniel from Dying is Easy, Peter Kowalski from Creepshow, Jimmy Kukaj from Come Find Me, and Chris Anderson from Heavy Metal. They're just writing a bunch of really fun horror stories that take place inside of comic conventions. And like, what can go awry if you don't follow the rules, or you end up in that one door that took you to the wrong place? Oh no. See, something like that could happen to you. You don't want that to happen to you.
You
Don't
don't.
follow that guy around. You don't.
Nope.
He needs a shower really bad.
Yes, he does.
And yes, he does. But the covers that we have, if you go back to the beginning real quick, the first one is by Maria Wolf. The next is I'm like by Daniel or Nelson Daniel, and then the last is the Heart cover. So yeah, and they should be on shelves. This is the one that will be on shelves on July 23rd, and it's already for pre-order. So you can get your hall pass one, you can get your waiting in line one, or whatever you'd like. It's going to be super
Cool.
fun.
Nice.
Yeah, and I thought it was like dread because they had all the holiday ones, you know, deck the halls, dread the halls, but dread the hall H was, I thought that was especially clever. I was very
Indeed.
proud of them for that. I don't know.
All right.
That's just
Well,
it's one of those
no, thank you,
things.
Carrie. That
So,
sounds awesome. So definitely something worth haunting the halls. All right. So pretty much I think that's it for news. So Carrie, I'm sorry. You're still going to have to talk more. So I would definitely take a sip of whatever you're drinking because
yes,
it's
I have to start
Kickstarter
wrapping
time.
stuff. Oh yes, it is. All right.
We need to come up with a theme song for it.
We totally do.
We'll
Carrie,
figure it out.
which one am I starting with?
First I'm gonna open. You're gonna start with Murder Podcast, but before that, I have stuff that I need to show off. Okay, this is totally not a Kickstarter. I just want to brag because I just got this today. I just got Twilight, the trade paperback by Howard Chaykin, Jose Luis Garcia Lopez, and Steve Oliff. So
Nice.
this is just a gorgeous book and very high quality pages. Everything is very cool about this book. I love the art. I can't wait till I can sit down and just read this and have a great time. So
Sweet.
yeah, but that's because I got 3 packages delivered today. One was a Kickstarter, one was a bunch of original artwork that I'd ordered, and then I got that as well. And this is the Kickstarter. I have Garrett Gunn's Warcorns, The Combat Unicorns for Hire, Fistful of Rainbows, issue number 2. And yeah, so this is the comic, and I'm going to pull it out so I can show you the inside real quick. It's nice and thick. But also coming with it, this little sticker. It's really cute. Don't know why I had that up. Yeah, these are little extras that you get when you order the comic from Kickstarter. And Garrett Gunn's awesome. And I've so far I've been getting all of the Warcorn stuff because it's just amazing. And here we get a little bit a closer view. There's a lot of naughties that happen inside of this for unicorns. Here's some nice little fighting. This is something that reminds me of kind of a video game. If you can tell, it gets kind of pixelated looking. But I'm trying to avoid the like really weird that it might turn into something strange if you're looking at a unicorn with strange breast things going on. But yeah, so Warcorns has been going on. This is super thick, really high quality, high gloss. I love this comic. Garrett Gunn, we've had him on. We'll have him on again, I'm sure, because he's just amazing. But keep looking an eye out for those. I'll let you know when he has a new one coming up. But if you see something by Garrett Gunn being put out, go ahead and pay for it. Buy it. You're going to get crazy stuff. It's going to be super fun. You can get all the catch-ups if you need to with digital if you don't want to spend the money, or you can buy all the individual different covers if you're really into that. He's really good at making the offers up so that you can pick whatever you would like from those. So that's all I have to show you. Now it's time for me to tell you what we have coming up that I think that you will enjoy. And we're going to start right now with Murder Podcast, The Cold Open. This is being brought to us on Kickstarter by Jeremy Hahn and Mike Tisserand. It's a new horror thriller comic book from the co-creator of Beauty and supervising director of The Dragon Prince. This will be funded in 16 days if it reaches its goal on May 15th at noon Central Time. Being put out, like I said, Ignition Press. This is their release it's their issue 0 of the first thing under their print that's going into the Kickstarter mode. And we've talked about Ignition Press a bit before. They make sure when they release something that they already have a bunch of, like, at least I think 3 issues ready to go, so that they don't get lost behind in trying to like catch up on, oh, this one actually worked out, oh, this one didn't, so they're ready to go. So what this one is about, true crime podcasts and their charismatic hosts are the queens of the hill, consistently topping the charts worldwide, with many shows developing obsessive cult followings, spawning fan clubs, live shows, and merchandise galore from over 200 million people who listen to them. One such true crime podcast, called Dead Sounds, has returned for a surprising second season. Surprising because a new episode has mysteriously appeared in its listeners' feed. Despite the unexplained disappearance of the show's host after the end of its first season, something is wrong with this podcast. Something horribly, murderously wrong, and no one is safe. This comic book is the first one they're releasing. Like I said, it's writer Jeremy Hahn, best, and his Jeremy Hahn, but something else that's coming up with him to try and tie all this together. He is the co-creator of The Beauty, and that is currently in production as an FX series by Ryan Murphy from American Horror Story. He is best known for his terrifying horror comic series, The Red Mother and The Approach, and more recently as the host of his own video podcast series, Curious Haunts. Murder podcast promises to be his most disturbing dive into the world of horror to date, and he says this because he's actually jumping into the real people and real serial killing and murder. It's just it's something that really has him on the go. Ignition Press is committed to creating simple but compelling avenues for new readers to discover their breathtaking medium of sequential storytelling and the countless stories that await them inside the comic books and graphic novels. And the way they're doing this cold open format is to be an entry point for people. Each cold open is going to be a single comic issue featuring a self-contained comic book vignette introducing you to the world, the stakes, and the character of a larger story. This is going to be the Murder Podcast, but each cold open is going to be its entire thing, and they will be ready to go into manufacturing as soon as they get the, hey, we like this, or hey, we don't. So what we have for rewards, there are tiers ranging from $5 for a basic digital edition, along with multiple other low price options, and a couple ranging from $125 to $1,000 for everything you could possibly ask for. Now hold that there for a second. This is the Artie Kirsch set. It is limited to 5 total and includes the standard and limited editions of Murder Podcast Cold Open, both of which will come signed and individually remarked by Jeremy Hahn, along with all the in-world limited edition collectibles. It will also come with early access to episodes of Curious Haunts and the virtual drawing sessions. Hahn will handpick a unique oddity to be included in your set. He collects a bunch of strange things, and he'll be sending an episode of Dead Sounds to a friend of your choosing so they can be cursed as well. But he will be sending you an oddity. Finally, you'll also be invited to a special Murder Podcast meetup at Comic-Con International 2025 in San Diego with Jeremy Hahn, which will include drinks and other light refreshments. However, as the backer, you are responsible for your own transportation accommodations. He's not going to pay for you to get there, but if you happen to be going there, he'll hook up with you and get you some drinks, get you something to eat, and chill. For the add-ons, if you go back one, those include a copy of the standard edition, 2 different sets of enamel pins. The one is glow in the dark, one is not. There's a vinyl sticker set, a tote bag, and a t-shirt. And the stretch goals, they're being announced as they go, as prior ones are open. The first goal has not quite been hit yet, but it's getting pretty close. It's going to be 15,000. The original goal is 10,000. And that will be to give every physical backer a digital edition of the book. So, yeah, and Mark back that one. I did too. Also about Crowley. Send that to me if you could, Mark, because I don't know about that one yet. So that sounds interesting. Up next, we already did the Hall's Deck the Hall H, but now it's time for Holiday Spirits Christmas in July. If we can pull it up. This is going to be an anthology story as a cautionary tale for those who dared to venture into the dark side of the Christmas season. This project will only be funded for, it has 10 days left. So you need to get there by March 9th at 9:37 p.m. Central Daylight Time. This is put up by Travis Gibb and Orange Cone Productions. So this is volume 4 of Holiday Spirits. This time is a standalone one-shot. They're going to collect all of the Christmas in July single issues together for the first time with exclusive stories by some of the best in indie comics. Holiday Spirits Christmas in July is a comic book horror anthology with suspenseful and thrilling Christmas tales brought to you by a group of super talented indie creators. The high-quality 100-plus page book is a must-have under the tree this year. We have collected the above issues and added another 30 pages to this volume. If you like Tales from the Crypt, Twilight Zone, or Alfred Hitchcock Presents, this book's going to be for you. They're really happy to be launching the 4th volume on Kickstarter. And each of these volumes has some of the greatest horror minds in indie comics. So, welcome to Holiday Spirits Volume 4. This volume collects 12 stories from some of the top creators in the comic, including Jonathan Hedrick from Recount, Travis Gibb from Granite State Punk, Jessica Mason from Mary Shelley's Schools for Monsters, Kurt Belcher from The Unsleeping Eye, Jimmy Gasparo from Maiden Delco, which we talked about the other day, Fish Lee from Green Zone, Phil Butenhort from Oxymoron, Dan Busca from Mother, Jerome Gagnon, Assassin's Creed, Matthew Wilding of Freehands, Matthew Knowles and Steph Cannon, Heirs of Isildur, Brian Wolf's Gravesitter, and many, many, many more. What do you get with it? You're going to get a 100-plus page comic and a standard American comic-sized graphic novel on high-quality glossy paper. Just went through all of the various people that are going to be contributing to this. Backers are going to get various cover options from Etienne, Darapentichity from Dead Kingdom, Erwin Giarosa from Wilma Rufus, and Ignacio de Meglio from Lower Your Sights. There's a ton of bonus context that's going to be in the deluxe digital PDF that you can buy. And at higher pledge levels, the backers will be able to access campaign exclusive limited edition items. The rewards on this are really simple, guys. It ranges from $10 to $85. That's low enough to pretty much cover everybody, and that's including all of the stuff that you can get. Very reasonable campaign. It's basically offering you the basic digital, the enhanced digital, and the physical copies of the trade with various different covers, and some of them combining with like some single issue covers as well. The add-ons are all straight up extra comics by Orange Cone Productions, as well as a set of the 3 soft covers of this trade, which is Orange Cone, but just to get it right, yeah, those are all the little add-ons there. Additionally, if you put in $5, you can get your book signed. And there's the backer rewards freebie of digital comics that opens via the number of backers, started with 100 and is increasing by every 25 backers past that. This campaign is just straight up all about the comics and feeding them to this every way they can. They have their comic, they have all of their previous comics. It's going to go ahead and just, that's what you're going to get. You're going to get all the comics that you can. And now this is the one that, Leo, you can't start ordering until we're done with the show. Okay? This one doesn't really need an introduction, but I'm giving it to you anyway, because this is something that if you are a Transformers fan, and you have the money, you really need to know about this. Currently at over 8,000% funded with 17 stretch goals opened. The original, the Transformers US, this is the Transformers Compendium set. The original, the Transformers US and Transformers UK comic book series together in 2 distinctive hardcover collection sets. There are 8 days left on this. It's by Skybound Entertainment. It is going to be reaching its goal at 2 p.m. Central Time on Wednesday, May 7th. Skybound, Image, and Hasbro proudly present all of the original, the Transformers US, the Transformers UK comics in magnificent hardcover collections, as well as the Transformers Till All Are One box set, which seamlessly weaves together the US and UK versions for the ultimate reading experience. These classic collections feature faux leather hardcovers available exclusively through Kickstarter. Each book measures 6.65 inches by 10.1875 inches, the Skybound compendium size. The Transformers Till All Are One box set weaves the stories together, including edits used only in the UK materials for the ultimate reading experience. These Kickstarter exclusive editions are a must-have for all Transformers fans. Prepare to unlock core Transformers G1 memories with 9 exclusive Autobot and Decepticon tech spec cards included with each box set, lovingly recreated and stunningly illustrated by legendary Transformers artists. Detailed character abilities, unbelievable amazing artwork, and the red decoder card to reveal secret stats. And don't miss your chance to vote for the 3 additional Autobot and Decepticon tech spec cards to be included in one-of-kind decks. Okay, it gets a little bit crazy. Tiers are named after the various Transformers and start with a basic tier at $60 with the digital versions of either US or UK volumes 1 and 2 compendiums, along with you get 6,000 Skybound Insider points. I don't know too much about Skybound points. They don't come with all of the tiers, but they come with some of them. As they progress up, you need to choose whether you want to be an Autobot or a Decepticon to get some of the various stretch goals that will only go with one side. Stretch goals that are not book enhancements start at some of the higher levels. And there is a way, though, if you don't want to have to buy both sides, if you go up to starting at a $600 tier, yes, $600 tier, you can get both sides of the stretch goals if you don't want to purchase them all individually as add-ons, which you can as well. And the add-ons real quick, if you want to pop back to that one, it has double-sided bookmarks, die-cut stickers, prismatic die-cut stickers, Jetfire tech spec cards, Grimlock lenticular print, 4-inch patches, enamel pins, challenge coins. There are also reprint tech spec cards, US UK compendiums, Till All Are One Autobot or Decepticon box sets. Okay, and this is what I have to get into. The $900 Unicron tier. Okay, 173 people have already backed this one. It comes with both Autobot and Decepticon, the Transformers Till All Are One compendium hardcover box sets, and volume 1 and 2 of the Transformers UK US compendiums, and digital PDFs of all 8 books, and Autobot and Decepticon tech support cards, and all Autobot and Decepticon stretch goals. There are a lot of these things with some backplates that you get. Those all sold out right away. The thing about stretch goals, when you're 8,077% funded, you have completed 17 of them with the goal of $40,000, and they're sitting on about 3.25 million. I think that they're going to hit the next goal, which is just 3,300,000. So far, what they have added to this Kickstarter has been spot gloss added to all the box sets, double-sided bookmarks added to all physical pledges, ribbons added to all comics, Megatron fold-out poster by Daniel Warren Johnson added to all of the Compendium 1s, Optimus Prime fold-out poster to the same to Compendium 2s, Autobots or Decepticon die-cut stickers added to all physical pledges of that faction, 5.7 5x7-inch Grimlock lenticular print added to all of the physical pledges, Autobot or Decepticon 4-inch patches added to all physical copies of that faction. They've added foils to the spine and covers of all compendiums. There's an Autobot fold-out poster by Darren Warren Johnson added to Compendium 3 and a Decepticon 1 to number 4. all 4 fold-out posters are now been added to the US and the UK edition. They've added gilded edges to all of the compendiums. There's an Autobot or Decepticon 1.5-inch enamel pin added to all physical backers of that faction. There are Transformers Challenge coins to all physical pledges. There's a Kickstarter exclusive comic, the Transformers #5 reprint, included with all physical copies, and a bonus on that is that they made the Transformers #5 full cover art reprint available as an add-on. There are the last 3 that they've done so far. Each consist of 2 more tech spec cards, one set by Jorge Corona, one set by Andrew Wildman, and one set by Jeff Senior. And if they hit the next one, they're going to be releasing another Kickstarter exclusive comic, the Transformers #2 reprint, that will be included with all physical pledges. So I know I'm saying it's a bit there, but if you're a real big Transformers fan, you threw down $900. I think you own most of the world. Wow, this is a lot of stuff. I am not the biggest Transformers fan in the world. I am not somebody who's going to be able to contribute to this one. But for those of you who are fans and you know you have the money for it, some of the $300 to $600 ones are really, I mean, you might if you can. I don't know, if you can split it up somehow, it's great to go into. But this has got everything, and they just keep adding more. And so many people are buying it that you just keep getting more and more and more and more. And I'm very sorry, Mrs. Pond, dear Megan, for showing this to your hubby.
There's no way I can afford this, so no worries.
But he might be stressing at night. I'm not sure, but yeah. So that's the end of. Oh, what are you?
Jeremy. Till all are one. There you go. That should answer your question.
There you go. All right. So I think, Leo, we already announced who our guest is for next week. So I think we just sign off, right?
Yeah,
right,
totally. Yeah, I want to thank everybody for watching this fine evening. For me, you know how to find me. But more importantly, check the show notes. There's a lot of awesome stuff there. And, follow these awesome people. And, I do a bunch of other stuff. The Dork Knight, Comics Paradox, with 2 awesome gents, Brandon and Justin. And that's me. And head on over to thedorkening.com to learn all about the shows on the network. A lot of awesome stuff. So go check it out. And Carrie.
Hey, when me and my lush of a squirrel here are not hanging out with these fabulous gents on Splash Pages, I am on another network on the Dorkening, the Owlite Network, doing some of their shows. We have a lot of shows over there. I do not do them all because I wouldn't survive. There's a lot of stuff going on over there. I usually show up on Monday nights when we tend to do Tomb of the Terrible, if everybody's there. If not, we've had a couple weeks of breaks because we had people moving, but we will be back on track soon, folks. We also do Sunday night shows that generally involve interviews or just hanging out and bullshitting and just relieving stress. Other than that, if you look me up at Carrie Sanders, best way to get a hold of me, go there on Facebook. All of my links are there to everything that I do. You can find my author page. I write a couple of things. You can go and read them. I make some t-shirts and shit that, I don't know, go check out my shop. They're kind of fun. I made the one that I always said I was going to write back when forums were relevant, that is, use the fucking forums. I'm really proud of that one, but nobody ever buys it because forums don't exist anymore. I guess I need to change it to Discord or something. But
you can't even say RTFM anymore.
What?
RTFM?
Oh. No. Ignore his joke.
Sorry, I didn't hear it there. All right. And Mark, thank you so much. I will get that. I'm excited about it. But yeah, I will be here putting myself out of house and home, buying Kickstarters and fun things to let you guys know about, and reading them and reviewing them and sending you to the ones that I can't afford, even if I can't afford them, because I think that you deserve it if you can. So keep me posted. If you have a Kickstarter or something come up, let me know. Tell me what's really cool about it so I can bring it up. Just send me a fucking message on Facebook and I will get back to you. Yeah. So that's me. Let's talk to Drew if he's not asleep by now. Because,
I'm still awake.
Oh my God, he's not laying down.
And
Holy shit.
neither is this. Thank you. All right. Hey, everybody. When I'm not dealing with these two and adding to my agina, or whatever I have, every Tuesday we're here. If you need to find me, I'm Drew Malo on Facebook, Ghostbusterman 1984 on Instagram, Drew Malo on Blue Sky. I'm generally working on a lot of things. I'm very busy. So, I don't know, leave a message after the beep and I'll get back to you within the decent millennium or two. So, beep.
Is that a Falcon? Millennium Falcon.
And thank you so much for joining us, everybody. Have a good rest of the night.
Bye.